Okay, hello there. I'm actually going to start the. I'm actually going to start the music. Uh, okay, so now it's time to. I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do my own what if civilization started over. Um, so, I have a blank world map. So we're gonna begin just 66 million years ago. I'm actually gonna make a new layer for this, and an asteroid hits about here, and yeah, you get the point. Probably okay. Ethiopia. Around 200,000 years ago. First humans evolve somewhere. You don't actually know where. You don't really know. Well, we do know. Right? It was somewhere in Africa, and slowly they expand. Actually, it wouldn't be that fast, but yeah, actually, a dot right here. That is all of human civilization. That one dot. But slowly it expands. And the more it expands, the more people there are, and the more people there are, the more it expands. So you can kind of see where all humans are. Eventually, they started splitting off into different tribes. So we're going to have two different tribes now. So like humanity is still in the like hunter-gatherer phase of civilization. So So one of these tribes reaches out towards the coast, and like, I don't know, irrigate. I don't know, something about irrigation. They can't cross the water. Well, actually they can, because people can swim. But yeah. Let's say, new tribe. Actually, I gotta turn down this tolerance. That's. So yeah, like this. So yeah, this tribe. That's hard to differentiate. It's not. I'm gonna change its color. I'm gonna change its color. It's okay. But yeah, like. Island. There's an island, right? So yeah. So this area in Yemen, in modern day Yemen, is now going, it breaks off to form a different tribe. So now there's 4 tribes, actually. So yeah, well, these are 4 tribes that make up human civilization, and these tribes start to fight. Now, these tribes don't have very many people. This tribe has about 5,000. No, I would say I'm going a little low. This tribe right here has about 20. Yeah, okay. This tribe right here has about 20,000. This tribe about 40,000. This one has like 35,000, and this one around 15,000. So the first, oh no, I gotta kick somebody off. Okay, so human expansionism is one thing. So gradually humans like venture up. So I'm going to show like a map of the current known world, which is like this, or it's probably less than that. It's like this. So some tribe, and this tribe wants to change that. So like they move up. And now it's not there, but more like there. Oh, do it in a different layer. It's now like here. No, it's like here. That's the known world at this point. So, like, so this is around, let's say, about 50,000 years ago. We're all in the Neolithic era, and, like, hunter-gatherer civilization, and, like, ore mining. Well, actually, that's the Bronze Age, but still. Yeah, like, but yeah, ore mining does happen eventually. Probably not now, because humanity is just focused on surviving, really. And yeah, like, these tribes start fighting because, like, there isn't really any, like, there is a bit of fighting between tribes, but yeah, like, it remains peaceful-ish. Keyword ish, because there is quite a bit of fighting. But anyways, yeah, new civilization. Anyways, yeah, like, so while all this expanding was going on, groups of humans went up here. I gotta change the color to signify this is different. This person's different. I mean, these people are different. So, so yeah, like, they're like here. And yeah, like, stone mining is a thing as well. So humans can like do, I mean, they can cut trees essentially, and also like build build rocks and stuff. So this, or no, like not like build rocks, but use rocks to build stuff. So yeah, the first major city, I mean the first like ever city is founded around here. And yeah, like the religion is a thing. Religion still becomes a thing. So yeah, like Abrahamic. So like stuff like, well, actually, we're now we've fast forward about like a few thousand years. So instead of showing tribes, we're just gonna show one civilization. So we get to say goodbye to all these tribes here, and hello to this one civilization. This also makes it easier to show on a map. So there's, so probably another city like here. And now this city has a population of about 2,000. This city has a population of about like, no, not really like 2,000, but more like 3,000 people. Actually, more. Well, yeah, 3,000 is an agreeable number, I guess. That's because like right now the general population of humanity is only like 4. There's only about 100,000 humans in the world at this point. Like, there was a mass extinction. There was, like, a lot of cultures just died off in this time period. So this part of the civilization started to get more wealthy and rich as more cities were founded more cities were founded here, whilst more cities were founded here, and this city became bigger, and so did this city, growing to a population of over 19,000. And more cities grew, and then so yeah, like this civilization was starting to feel kind of left out, because I don't know, more separate and more like independent. So they split. And this civilization is willing to let it go, but begrudgingly. And also another civilization is And also another civilization is founded in, like, this area in Iraq. That's way too big. Oop, wrong color. There's a city here, and like probably also one here on the coast, and a few others scattered around here. So this civilization is becoming probably more powerful than these two, because because these two fractured. Because while these ones are focused on development and like making more people, this civilization was made off of unity, and which ultimately makes them stronger than both of these. Oh, computer is charging. So humans, so the entire known world, it's expanded to, it's expanded from here to, there's humans, here, and also a bit more in, here, but actually these civilizations only really know what's here, because over time they just, over time, they kind of developed, they kind of just forgot what was, they kind of forgot about these other civilizations because they just weren't culturally important. So there's multiple known worlds here. So these civilizations are kind of gonna imitate modern famous civilizations from our timeline. So this civilization is ancient Egypt, and actually the Nile River's here. So, so they build a ton, so they build, some, so they build, just a bunch of cities. They build a bunch of cities along the Nile River and also the coast. So trading is a thing as well. So yeah, this is now around 2,000 years ago. Is my screen writing some notes? Okay, I guess I just got. Oh, it's right there. Okay, now it's true. So yeah, these are some cities and stuff. Also, yeah. So, like, this is Assyria. Anyways, I'm just gonna hide this, we're just gonna ignore the known world. Okay, we're just gonna focus on the world as a whole. So, there's a city here. It doesn't really, not here, but, so, actually, there's a city like here, which, here, no, let's just stick with here, which becomes the building blocks for what some would call Persia, or just modern day Iran. So this, like, general area belongs to them. And then here. So then stuff here. Assyria is doing well. Who could start today? I can't think of what I'm gonna say. But yeah, like, there's a lot of cities founded near this bigger city because I don't know, it's stuff like New York and Yonkers, like smaller city, like smaller cities are built near larger cities. That just happens. Assyria is widely populated. I mean, so is Egypt. Their largest city is... So, like, the small dots are minor cities. So basically, the thicker the dot is, the larger the city is. So, like, these two civilizations go to war over, like, this general area, over, like, this general area, actually, basically just the Sinai Peninsula, like, that general area. So, Israel launches an invasion into Egypt. And yeah, this is Israel because Abraham is still a thing in this timeline. So Egypt defends this city and its surroundings, like, a lot. So now we're going to build. So now we're going to add something else, like, barracks / bases of sorts. So like they're just bases of operations. So eventually Israel is forced into submission by Egypt, and a new map is drawn. That border looks kind of like the one in our world. I'm sure this won't cause a second. I'm sure this won't cause a second Sinai war. That's called foreshadowing. So the Israelis catch on to the idea of bases of operations, so they build one. Build one here. So they build a few. And then Egypt responds by doing the same. They even build one in that one city. So basically these are like defense outposts, which kind of like, well, one, they serve as recruitment. Well, one, these are just any sort of military building. So Israel gains a border with Assyria. Because it's mutually beneficial to each other to trade. Because it's mutually beneficial trade. So another major Israeli city is built here. And also a bunch of smaller cities. And also a lot of cities are built near these barracks because. So this city right here is expanded. This city right here is, well, not really expanded, but grown in population significantly. So there's two major cities here. So now like Israel and Assyria are like they're like trading and like getting an economy. Kind of. So right now it's around 1000 BC. So we need to rewind a bit because we have to check on China. Right here in China. Because people like to move. That color's very similar. We're just going to. I know Chinese. Oddly, I know Chinese history way better than most other histories. So, like, nah, that's too big. The Xia dynasty. The Xia. Xia? I think it's Xia. The Xia dynasty. It's made by a guy who stopped a flood. I don't know. So China is like, they slowly expand, and so in about 1600 BC, the Xia dynasty is replaced by the Shang. And they're quite expansionist. I mean, they expand quite a lot. So they're like, this is like enormous. So the Shang. So basically, there's this thing called a Mandate of Heaven. If you haven't heard of the Mandate of Heaven, it's basically new dynasties are popular, but as they age, they become old dynasties, which are unpopular, and like old dynasties have burdens placed on them, like high taxes, corrupt leaders, and stuff like that. So then the old dynasty loses its mandate from heaven, and then a new dynasty arises from its ashes, and then the cycle repeats. So yeah, the Shang dynasty is getting quite large here. I don't think it ever expanded to this length, but it's my own alternative history, so I get to do whatever I want with it. So then the Shang is replaced by some dynasty. I gotta go check which one it is. Yeah, I think it would. Yeah, it was the Zhou. We're probably gonna have the Romans. No guarantee. Yeah, the Romans are probably gonna happen. No guarantees, though. So actually, I'm gonna change the color because I think the Zhou are like, I'm gonna make them like green. I'm gonna make them a greenish color, not a dark green. I'm gonna make them this green color. That's gonna be the Zhou. So the Zhou actually lasted a while, so we're here. So they're gonna be here for a while. I'm actually going to check how big they were. Okay, yeah, so they got to expand quite a bit. They're a bit small right now. So, like, it's only around, and also, this is around the time that Confucius lived. So yeah, I don't know much about Chinese history, but I know enough. You've probably heard of Confucius, like, and if you haven't, which, I mean, let's be honest, you probably have, but if you haven't, like, a philosopher, started a religion, that's the basic, that's the gist of what he was. So yeah. Anyways, they're going to venture into Manchuria a little bit. But we have to get back to other civilizations. So now it's time for Egypt to go on a rampage. I actually forget how long ancient Egypt lasted. I forget. Oh yeah, we're gonna have the Romans and probably the Ottomans too. Oh yeah. Oh, they survived 3,000 years. They're gonna be here for a while, I would say. So right now, I gotta check. Egypt is in its around its new kingdom period. So Egypt had a lot of dynasties apparently, not one specific, but yeah, we're still gonna use this as its color. And also, I forget when Moses lived, but anyways, second sign. Anyways, so yeah, I've been hinting at this for a while, but now it's time for Israel to go war with Egypt again. Actually, I gotta add more cities in this area. So there's one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. Just a lot here, and one here, one here. Okay. So also, and also these cities, and also like actually. This city expands, so more smaller cities crowd around it, and then one of the surrounding cities grows. So yeah, that's a general map of Egypt right now. But anyways, this border, the modern border, it was drawn by the British, and so a lot of Israelis were crossing into the border, and Egypt didn't like that. Egypt didn't like that, so they're going to invade the Holy Land, as it's called. So essentially, well, goodbye, Israel. It was nice knowing ya. Oh yeah, it's on this layer. So all these cities are destroyed, essentially. All these cities are either abandoned or destroyed. So all the cities are either abandoned or destroyed. So Israel is subjected to the harsh rule of Egypt. I don't know. And also, it's around like 900 BC. So I guess it's time for Phoenicia. So now it's time for that's the erase button. Now it's time for Phoenicia, which is essentially Lebanon. So yeah, that's it, essentially. That's not it, because we still have done more to do. So, yeah, Phoenicia is going... So yeah, Phoenicia does these, yeah. Basically, this insignificant little trading colony by the name of Carthage is founded. There's also a ton of other trading colonies, but Carthage is the big one. There's also probably one like... But yeah, Carthage is the biggest one. So we're going to change its color so it's slightly different. So you can actually differentiate the two. That's Phoenicia versus Carthage. Okay, you can barely see the difference, but still. So yeah, this insignificant trading colony isn't going to be... It's not like it's gonna become one of the largest powers in the Mediterranean. Well, it's already doing that. So yeah, I don't know much about early Carthaginian history, but it kind of like slowly expanded, and then it like fully declared independence from Phoenicia. So we're just gonna ignore Carthage for a while, and also, oh yeah, I gotta add the cities. So Carthage is like really large, and there's also a bunch of other smaller cities nearby Carthage. But yeah, like Carthage is densely populated, and I mean like densely populated, especially in this region. There would probably be one like here. Sorry to sneeze. So yeah, right now Carthage we only have about 100,000 people, so. See, Carthage is large. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about China. So okay, I'm actually gonna hide cities because it's kind of becoming a pain. And I'm just gonna focus on the civilizations for now. I'll update you on cities every 300-ish years. What was that? Did I just blink? Or did something flash on my screen? Oh, I did just repeat one song. So anyways. Oh. So now we're gonna get back to China. So the Zhou dynasty has been expanding. a lot. Especially, especially up there and out here. And also, I should have touched up on this, but let's rewind about 20,000 years. You could cross this area and go all the way over here. So a lot of Native Americans cross into here, and like now they occupy the entire continent, or almost the entire continent. A lot of them are relatively nomadic though, and haven't really settled yet. But they're going to have one great disturbance in about 2,000 years. So the Zhu keeps taking territory. And also they're the most populated civilization in the world, with a population of about 1 to 2 million. And also India. I kind of forgot about India, but yeah, they're also, oh yeah, they're here too. They're actually more than one. Okay, they're actually more than one civilization. There are actually a ton of like princely there are a ton of kingdoms and chiefdoms and like tribes and stuff. There's something in my arm. But so yeah, it's not all. So they're not all united. But I don't want to. But I do not want to show all of them on the map. So let's say they are. So India, so like these Indian princely kingdoms are, let's just say they're under one loose confederation of kingdoms. So yeah, that's essentially all the territory they control. So Phoenicia is collapsing, but actually, scratch that, they're not. In fact, they've expanded their colonies so much. Well, they've been growing a little bit. So now they're quite big. And they've also taken Cyprus. So they're going to take a bit of Anatolia, aka Turkey. Oh, and I just got kicked off. So yeah, that's general. That's their general area that they control. And also, Greece isn't united, but I'm too lazy to show all the kingdoms on a map. So I'm just going to show them as one. And also, let's get back to the Persians. They've been expanding a lot, and now they're really big. And also they conquered a bit of this peninsula. And then that peninsula broke away. Because that happens a lot. So Persia has conquered Assyria, and they've also conquered most of Egypt, and even Phoenicia, except for Cyprus, because they didn't know Cyprus existed. So, I kind of skipped ahead a couple hundred years, but nothing major really happened. Oh, well, something major-ish happened. Italy's populated by a few insignificant kingdoms that probably won't amount to anything. Like what? One of them is called Rome. I bet they're probably gonna lose to a larger power in Italy, though. That's called foreshadowing again. So Alexander the Great is now in charge. Also, Rome's a republic now. They're no longer a kingdom. So Alexander the Great conquered all of Persia. Most of Persia. Like, maybe not all of it. So there you go. So he tries to conquer Carthage, which kind of works, but they hold out in the city for way too long. So he moves down the Arabian Peninsula. To be honest, the music actually fits really well. Oh, it stopped. But yeah, Alexander the Great. Did I just blink again, or did something flash on my screen? Because I think something did flash on my screen. So eventually his empire just collapses. His empire was way too overextended, and then Alexander the Great just dies. So Persia and Carthage used this opportunity to take a ton of territory. So now Carthage becomes a giant. So now Carthage is this giant nation. They also take Sardinia and Corsica, a couple islands here, a bit of stuff in Spain, and also Sicily. Except for Syracuse. They don't take Syracuse. Syracuse is still Syracuse. Yeah, Syracuse still controls Syracuse. I'm gonna color them in the same color as Greece, aka Macedon. Even though it... So Rome has been... So Rome is stabbing necks all its way down... Stabbing necks all the way down the Italian peninsula. they're like here right now. Okay, well, so yeah, in a few, so yeah, like a while. So like like no, more like 3 or 4 decades later, this Rome is unified Italy. And now I have to finish splitting up Alexander's empire. I actually forget how it was split. So let's say one colony here. No, not colony, but like one thing here, another thing here. It would have been divided more, but I So now Egypt is. So now we have a really massive Egypt. And I mean a really massive Egypt. I mean like a way bigger Egypt. And also the Jews are under the reign or the control of this area. Don't worry, this general area is going to balkanize itself even more. And also, China. So the Zhou kind of just fell apart. So it was replaced by the Qin. But the Qin got too strict and they were replaced by the Han. So the Han expands into like everywhere. And also, Japan is also united-ish. I think it's like right here right now. So that's Japan. Are they still are they under the shogunate? Yeah. I don't think they are. So anyways, that music, you know what that music means? It's time for the Punic Wars. Oh yeah, I gotta. So Massana is. So the Mamertines conquer Massana. So then Rome annexes the Mamertines. So then the Carthaginians and Syracuse. So the Carthaginians and the Syracusans come to kick them out. And also Syracuse joins the Roman side, but yeah, like, we'll watch a video on it. I'm not gonna explain what happens, but ultimately, like, then they take Malta, and then they land in Africa. Oh. That music definitely reminds me of something. So Carthage is under a siege. Basically, the only change is that the Carthaginians never hire Xanthipus. So Carthage falls. and then Sicily too, I guess. So Rome just gets to keep Sicily. So then the mercenary crisis begins. So General Hamilcar Barca is sent to take over Spain. So then Rome declares war on Carthage, but then Carthage surrenders immediately. It's more complicated than that, but yeah. Rome gains Corsica and Sardinia. So yeah. Rome has a population of about 500,000 people. Carthage has a higher population, but yeah. Hamilcar Barca dies, and then somebody takes over, and then Hannibal Barca takes over. If you watch Oversimplified like me, you've probably heard of Hannibal. So yeah, so his army crosses the Pyrenees. So about 20 years after, Hannibal's army crosses the Pyrenees and is on the way to, I'm really simulating too much of our history, even though there are some alternative decisions made. So Hannibal crosses the Alps, but then his entire army just dies. This didn't happen in our timeline. In fact, the exact opposite happened. Somewhat the exact opposite. So now it's time for Consul Longus sails straight for Carthage. They invade Carthage, and then Consul Scipio invades Spain, and you get the point. So Carthage surrenders, and Rome wins the Second Punic War much more easily than in our timeline. So Rome gets an empire in Spain, and also Numidia. I kind of forgot to talk about Numidia, but yeah, they exist too. So Carthage is still there, but yeah, Numidia is there. Also, India splits apart again, but they don't conquer the south yet. And also the Han takes over Vietnam, and also a bit of Korea, and yeah. So right. So about 50 years later, the Roman senator Cato the Elder Carthage recovers quickly. So then the Third Punic War happens, which I'm not even gonna cover. Rome wins. Again. So yeah, Rome just annexes Carthage, and So Rome begins to conquer, like, just a lot of places. Oh yeah, and also, yeah, Rome had Albania this whole time. And also Rome annexes Syracuse in the Second Punic War because, I mean, why not? So the Romans kind of get bogged down in Greece. And also Anatolia just leaves. So Anatolia is like its own country now. And also, yeah, like Phoenicia is surviving on Cyprus. So they just witnessed their entire trade. So they just witnessed their entire Carthage get annihilated. So they kind of outlived them, which sadly they outlived their colony. That sounds a lot like Britain right now. So, yeah. So Rome is now massive. So fast forward about like 100-ish years. The Han Dynasty falls into rebellion. This is the Yellow Turban Rebellion. It broke out like all across China. So ultimately, like, the rebellion collapses. But then a warlord by by the name of Dongzhou kind of takes over the entire. But okay, so yeah, like remnants of the Yellow Turban Rebellion still are around in like this general area. So Dongzhou is assassinated by Lu Bu, and then the Yuan dynasty falls into complete and utter disarray. So this warlord controls this province by the name of Cao Cao. So he begins by invading the Yellow Turban Rebellion. The Yuan dynasty. Oh, yeah, I already explained that. So Cao Cao's family lived in this area, which will be represented with this color. But then they were murdered. So Cao Cao invades this province. But then Liu Bei comes to the aid of Tao Qian, the province's leader. So he pushes back Cao Cao. And then a rebellion is staged in Cao Cao's home province by none other than Lu Bu. So Cao Cao is to rush back and defeat Lu Bu. Who fled over here, or who fled north. So Tao Qian continues his invasion of Cao Cao's province until Cao Cao turns around and starts pushing Tao Qian back until Tao Qian conditionally surrenders. So Cao Cao gets a bit of land. Tao Qian then conquers a bit of the south. So then a warlord up here, who's going to be represented this color, named Gongsun Zan, controls a province that Lu Bu is occupying. Oh, I gotta blow my nose. Okay, I'm back. My device isn't charging. finally. Let's see. So yeah, Sulubu takes most of the north. Sulubu takes the north, turns around and pushes back. But Cao Cao starts helping Gong and Zan and to defeat Lu Bu. And eventually the two who defeat Lu Bu. So Gong and Zan now holds most of the north. And then he invades the rest of Korea. So now Liu Biao, another warlord, who is not related to Liu Bei. Well, yeah, last time I checked he isn't related, but I gotta check again. Oh. Okay. So also, there's another warlord who'll be represented with this color by the name of, I think his name's Sun Shan. It's some sun, S-U-N. So this area is just going to be it's going to be controlled by just a random warlord, I guess. So Sun Chan invades Tao Qian's province, which enrages Liu Bei, who in turn starts fighting for Liu Biao, who invades Liu Bei's province. I mean, Sun Shan's province. And so Sun Shan has to turn around to fight Liu Bei and Liu Biao. Which gives Tao Qian time to push Sun Shan out. So Cao Cao subjugates all other warlords who weren't controlled under his control, and invades Liu Biao's province. So Gong Zan turns on Cao Cao and invades his province. province, which in turn makes Tao Shan angry, so he invades his province too. Which gives Liu Bei and Liu. Oh, but Liu Biao surrenders to Cao Cao, who takes a bunch of his territory. Liu Bei takes the remnants of it. And also Vietnam declares independence. And with all this turmoil, Vietnam declares independence. So Liu Bei starts pushing back Cao Cao gradually, as he is determined to face Gongsun Zan and Tao Shan, who are probably who are ultimately the two largest threats. Which gives Liu Bei enough time to push him back. But cracks in this alliance begin to grow as Tao Shan as Gongsun Zan ultimately exits the war. And Tao Shan wants a bit of Korea, so he turns on Gongsun Zan and invades his province. So Cao Cao uses this as an opportunity to take his territory. Alright, but then Tao Shan takes all of this territory, and now after Tao Shan takes this area from Cao Cao, and ultimately 3 dynasties emerge. Liu Bei forms Shu Han. Tao Shan forms Northern Wu, or just Wu. And Cao Cao proclaims, Wei. So the Wei dynasty. So in one war they get. So in the war with Shu Han, Wei gains territory here. Whilst actually it wouldn't be called Wu. Let's say the Western Han. I'm running out of names. Or no, like the Tao dynasty possibly. So Tao invades Liu Bei's territory. He is ultimately the strongest of the warlords. So Cao Cao invades this. Cao Cao takes the rest of Liu Bei's territory and invades Tao Shan, invades the Tao dynasty. So Wei takes the rest of the south, and then slowly pushes them back. But but Tao, but Tao had taken most of the north, so ultimately, with the war in a back and forth stalemate, a peace treaty was agreed upon. So essentially, Wei gets the west. And Tao gets the east. So they would all to avoid. So this would be known as the Western Wei and Eastern Tao. So Wei takes out Vietnam. And takes most of this like general area. India finally finished conquering the south. Well, there's a bunch of kingdoms in Southeast Asia. There's several kingdoms in Southeast Asia. So, and yeah, that's a bit much focus. That might be too much focus on East Asia, or just Asia in general. Also, the Tao Dynasty invades Taiwan. And finally, Japan conquered the north. And then they landed on this island, which they want to conquer. Oh, that's the hex code. Okay. So let's get back to Europe. So that was around 400 years worth. So in about 400 years worth, Rome has finally turned into the Roman Empire and is so yeah, Rome's in its prime now. Oh, and also Jesus, he's a thing now, which also means Christianity and the papacy now exist. So that's one thing. So this is the Romans. So they decided it would be a good idea to conquer Germany. And then they take Crimea and they take a bit more territory. But they don't take Scotland. Well, they do take Ireland and a bit of Scotland. See, Rome is way overextended. They did make a treaty with Phoenician Cyprus so that they wouldn't invade Phoenician Cyprus. But treaties don't last very long. So yeah, Rome just took Arabia, and they also invaded Persia just to show off, and then they take more of this region, even though it's quite mountainy. So now it's around the year 300. So an influx of So an influx, so like Theodosius the Great. Yeah, so an influx of Huns come into Rome, and so after the death of Theodosius, Rome is permanently divided. Like this. And this is when Rome really starts to lose territory. So yeah, that's Byzantium, and also Egypt is independent again. So yeah, like, and also like, Byzantium has been pushed out of the Caucasus, and yeah, now they're looking quite small. And then West Rome just collapses. So then Eastern Rome, under like Justinian, I think, tries to restore the Roman Empire, but falls just short. But falls short at best. So they do get pretty close though, but yeah, like, ultimately Rome has been divided and it's going to stay that way. So Justinian dies and Byzantium shrinks to like small. Oh, not that small, but like probably to around like here. Yeah, to like around here, and yeah, like, yeah, at this point, yeah, like probably to there. And also they take the Sinai, so, I mean, well, Egypt takes the Sinai back. And yeah, Egypt doesn't really exist anymore. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. Also, Phoenician Cyprus gets its home back after so long. So yeah, like, most of this is so like it. So I guess it's gonna be. Oh yeah. Also, it's around the year like 600-ish because Justinian's dead. But yeah, you've probably. And now it's time for, well, I mean, you probably know, the reign of Charlemagne and the Frankish kingdom. And yeah, so the Frankish kingdom is like really big. I mean, it gets really big. So it unites. So the Roman Empire. So under the reign of Charlemagne, the Roman Empire is actually restored. Like, well, actually, it would be more as like a loose union. And yeah, Charlemagne dies and then it just collapses. It falls apart. He's kicked out of Iberia. And finally, after like forever, the Papal States is now a thing. Which, by the way, I'm Catholic. So I've kind of been waiting for this. Yeah, looks a bit. I think that looks a bit too much like Phoenicia. Alright. So yeah, the Papal States don't control much. So then we get France or Francia, and a nation, and then also East Francia, which totally isn't going to become one of the most major, which totally isn't going to become a major nation in the future. Yeah, basically there's West Francia, East Francia. I meant this color. But yeah, there's like West Francia and East Francia, and like those are like the major areas in Europe. There's other nations. Like also, this is also when the game Crusader Kings 3 takes place. So, if anyone plays that game, so the Vikings. Oh yeah, the Vikings. The Vikings. So I'm gonna represent them with purple. So they're purple now. So yeah, like, the Vikings are, so yeah, like, it's the Vikings. So they're about to go on a rampage. So they're about to go on a rampage through all of Europe. They take the British Isles. And then they also found Normandy. So Edward the Confessor liberates England, quote unquote, liberates England from the Vikings. and then the Viking rule in England kind of falls apart. So there you go. That's Normandy. But then Edward the Confessor dies, and then the highly influential and popular Earl of Wessex, Harold Godwinson, succeeds him. But William, the Duke of Normandy, doesn't like that because he thinks he's a claim to the throne. So, also Harold Hardrada, he's also King of Norway. I think he has a bit of the Baltics and also Finland, but he might not have Sweden. I forget about that. And also he might have a bit of Poland too. So he invades England, and then Harold Godwinson. But then Harold Godwinson in this timeline loses the Battle of Stamford Bridge, which then William takes the rest, and ultimately, in this final showdown, will decide who takes England. William the Conqueror wins. Oh yeah, he's also known as William the Bastard. I might get a strike for saying that. But yeah, he was born out of wedlock, so therefore he's an absolute bastard. That's what people say. Or people said. They don't say it about him anymore. So yeah, Harold Hardrada dies, but the Norse are still... The Vikings are still doing stuff. And by doing stuff, that means they take Iceland. And also that one island Donald Trump wants to buy, also known as Greenland. Even though it, and also they get they find this thing called ivory on Greenland. So they get crazy rich off the back of it. So anyways, let's get back to China. So China has, Southern China rebelled. So Southern China rebelled against Eastern Tao. So now we have a new dynasty, which, I don't know, let me see. I mean, if we're in 1066, it's probably going to be the Song dynasty. And then the Manchus overthrow the Tao dynasty, establishing the new Jin dynasty. And Western Wei kind of just falls apart. Western Wei still exists. It actually defeated Northern Jin. Japan conquered a bit of this region, but ultimately, nomadic tribes pushed them out. And also, Vietnam declared independence again. Like, Vietnam... In Vietnam... Yeah, so Vietnam is now an independent nation, I mean kingdom. And also... And now, this is Mongolia. It just exists right now. We'll get back to Mongolia. So basically, William's children they all had the crown, I guess. But ultimately, well, so there was actually a bit of a schism on who should be the king. But I think, let me see, well, Empress Matilda still doesn't become queen, but her son does, so. And also, new nation. Now it's time for a new nation. You probably guessed, or unless you didn't, it's the Holy Roman Empire, or the HRE. So the people, so the Pope actually, so the Pope chooses the Emperor, kind of, but the Emperor can choose the Pope, so it's some kind of weird circular power division. But anyways, the Papal States wants to unify Italy to have power, to become like more powerful. So they invade Tuscany and like this, they take this general area. They take Corsica and Sardinia, which part of it is still French, I guess. And then they invade Naples and Sicily, and there you go. It's, I mean, we're gonna call it the, we're just gonna refer to it as Italy. It's going to fall apart eventually. But yeah, I am not going to show every single thing in the Holy Roman Empire. So yeah, most of the action is in Europe. So that's Poland. And also we have a new nation. We have a new nation right here. I mean, not nation, but like confederation. Bulgaria. Now you may be wondering, wait, Bulgaria in the Caucasus? I thought they were down here, which, yeah, they are. But in this period, they were in the Caucasus. Like, that's just a random fact. And also, it's time for the Norse to take all of Greenland. And also take a bit of Canadian islands. I actually forget when Leif Erikson lived, but yeah, around this time the Norse experiment with some colonization of North America, a little bit, before, like, way before Columbus discovers the New World. So also the Spanish crown is divided between between Castile and Aragon. Ignore Gibraltar's its own thing. And if anyone's wondering, wrong color. So Castile and Aragon are nations. And also, so is Portugal. Portugal and Spain get into several wars over Galicia, and ultimately Portugal wins, and they also take a bit of stuff from Castile. Castile and Aragon eventually unite to form one united Spanish crown, and then they turn on and then they attack Portugal and take all that territory back. And also, well, it's time for a new empire. Hired in Arabia to kick everybody's butt. You know them? Probably. And if you don't, then, well, let's be honest, you do. It's the Ottomans! And then they take Constantinople, and, well, hope you can kiss Byzantium goodbye, because there's a new empire in town. Oh yeah, and also the Crusades happen, and all of them fail. So anyways, there you go. That is it for Byzantium. The Ottomans start expanding through Arabia and taking territory from everybody. Yeah, and soon they're the new top dogs of the Balkan, of just generally southern Europe. So they conquer Phoenicia and Phoenician Cyprus, therefore putting an end to Phoenicia. That they outlived Carthage by like over a millennia. So I mean, good job to them. They outlived their own trading colony, which is kind of which was much larger than them. Oh yeah, and this should have happened before, but it's gonna happen now. Mongolia is getting a bit big. somebody by the name of Genghis Khan is taking over, like, all of Asia. They take Tibet and also they take Tibet, Burma, Pakistan. Yeah, so they take everything really. They take Kazakhstan. And they annihilate the Volga Bulgarians. Oh yeah. They annihilate Western Wei. Take the Jin, and honestly, you'd better off ally with them than risk your entire country being invaded. Which is what the song did. They allied with them. Mainly so they could take down their lifelong enemy, the Jin dynasty. So the Mongols invade Japan. And then the Japanese begin to push them back because, I mean, like, Japan's quite mountainous. I mean, like, so yeah, Japan lands in Korea. But the Mongols kick them out of Korea. But they do hold an island. And also Japan finally conquered the north, and a little bit of this island, and a few of these islands. So now the Mongols are pushing into Ukraine. And a bit more into like the region of Outer Manchuria. And a bit into this island, and yeah. Genghis, well actually it's not Genghis anymore, it's like one of his 27 million descendants. One of his few hundred sons invade Europe, and then their empire just collapses. Okay, well, not like collapse, but not far from it. Like, so they ultimately survive as the Yuan dynasty. They start a war with the Song and win, and there you go. Now that's another dynasty for people to get mad at. God. So the Ottomans gain even more influence in Asia. Disconnected again. So anyways, yeah, that's Iran right there. They expanded a bit. And yeah, that's the 1400s. And also, now it's time for the War of the Roses. And also war with France, too. So, right now the English control, like, most of this area. So, they blitz France, and now they control France. Psych. They don't. The Franks kick him out. No, so the Poles have been expanding a little bit. And also they have an out. And also there's a new Slav. And guess what? There's a new Slavic nation in the Balkans. And it's totally not one I just forgot to mention. Hungary. So now it's time for, India. So India decided to expand a little bit, and they sell a bunch of really valuable spices. And also these kingdoms, and like one other. These kingdoms, and also another one here in the Philippines. Sure. So there you go, that's it. That's not it, but yeah. And also, the Majapahit control, or just Indonesia. So these, like, 5 kingdoms are important to access. So the Ottomans block all the Europeans from getting to the Silk Road, which is what allows them to get all this stuff. And also now it's time for the Yuan dynasty to collapse. So I guess they got a bit too big. So there you go. So the Mongols have been overthrown. And also, new kingdom in Burma, or Myanmar. I don't like saying it like that. And also India gets a little bit bigger, again. And also, Korea's independent now. Oh, and I got kicked. So yeah, this is the world right now. And also, like, I kind of forgot to talk about Africa. The Mali and Ghana empires happened. And also Mansa Musa. I don't have the time to cover this. There's too much stuff going on in Europe. Oh, also, I forgot to talk about the Black Plague I also kind of forgot to talk about the bubonic plague that almost wiped out all of Europe, and almost all it wiped out all of this general area. So the Ming Dynasty, yeah, you've probably heard of the Ming, and if you haven't, then, like, go read a book. I don't know. Just, England invades Ireland. So now they're a bit bigger. So a Portuguese man by the name of Christopher Columbus. You get the point. He sailed. He sails to the West Indies, even though it's actually called the Caribbean, but he didn't know that. So the Pope decides to draw a line along, like, here. They decided to draw a line essentially here. They drew a line about here, saying this is Portugal and this is Spain. And also, Portugal lands in Angola. So, and also they yank Goa, which is something else. I mean, it's a colony now. Also, Magellan lands in South America, so they have a colony here. Even though this does violate the purpose of the line, who's gonna do anything about it? Oh no, the line was like here. Oh no, it's too late, but I think the line was like drawn about, yeah, you can't see my finger, but it was drawn on like here. Or no, it was here because, the Spanish, it might have been something like, it might have been a different line, kind of like that, but that looks disgusting. But yeah, the Portuguese landed Brazil, so they take a bit of Brazil and stuff. And then the English, who I'm gonna change the color of the English. I genuinely hate that color that I gave them. So now, new color. Also, Henry VIII is king, so he killed a bunch of his wives. And then the English discover one island, and then the Spanish, the English take one island, and the Spanish take another. These would become the Falkland Islands. And also, Britain takes this island, which doesn't really do much. It's gonna stop them. Also, St. Augustine, and also Spain controls Florida, and they've taken much more than this, but it's like the 1580s, and Britain tries their luck with the colony, and it fails. The colony just disappears suddenly. To this day, nobody knows why it happened. It just did. We literally have no clue. Well, we have a clue, but... I mean, we have a clue, but we also don't. I don't know. I don't want to give you an existential crisis. But, yeah. Well, the English finally got that colony thing figured out. Now, they took a little bit of, like, this area. You can't see it on the world map, but it's enough. But if you look at North America, you can kind of see it. And we're going to be looking a lot at the New World this time. That's what it's called. The French have colonized Louisiana. So anyways, and also they took a bit of this territory. They took a bit of this territory. Well, actually not yet, but I mean they took a little bit of this. And also, I forgot to put the Dutch on this map, but they're there, so... Anyways, there you go. That's the Dutch. And they took a bit of this general area. And the British took this. And also a bit of this. And also... So yeah, that's the British. And then they get into war with the Dutch and win. Oh, also, I think the Swedish were there at one point. So, like, so the rest, so the French take a bit of this, and so Britain and France both claim the Ohio River Valley, and New England and a bit of Canada, yeah, and like this bit of Canada. So England oddly never splits from the church in this timeline. So the Pope makes an agreement again. Basically, Britain gets this, and basically this is the border he draws. So, crisis averted. Right? Wrong. So you see, as part of the Holy Roman Empire, there's this one part called Prussia. or if you're just learning German, or in German, Preußens, because they speak German. Or if you're just learning German and say what it looks like, Preubens, because but yeah, wait. Also, yeah, I kind of forgot to talk about this, but Poland, Lithuania. And I also forgot to talk about this. That's too big. The Russians. And also Alaska. Yeah, the Russians of Alaska. And also, Norway splits into just... Norway splits into Norway, Sweden, Norway splits into Sweden and Denmark, Norway. And also, it's time for the Great Northern War. I don't know much about it. I guess I gotta read on it. Oh yeah, So, Russia wins. So I guess Russia wins. So Russia gets a bit of this and a bit of this. So now everyone's afraid of Russia. So yeah, now everyone is afraid of Russia. Oh, so hold on. Let me see. Was Prussia involved in this war? Oh, yeah. Also, Prussia gets a little bit of territory. They get this. The Austrian, also another nation in the another nation in the Holy Roman Empire, which is the de facto leader of the Holy Roman Empire, Austria. Austria also I'm just going to show Austria as this. Well, actually, it's that. And I think they also controlled the Netherlands, so, like... I'm just gonna show it as this, even though they can... And also they controlled Spain, I think. I gotta see... I think Austria was in the Great Northern War. Hold on. Also, Norway Denmark, Norway. So, Denmark, Norway gets land from Sweden, and now Sweden is really small. And then later, Denmark, Norway, just outright annexes Sweden, forming reforming the Kalmar Union. Prussia now controls this area. Okay, they actually didn't. Well, actually, this is Brandenburg, Prussia. Wait, no, that is Prussia. This is Prussia. So Prussia is subjugating smaller members. So yeah, Prussia is now most of Germany, and also Italy joins the Papal States. Wait, that happened a while ago. But then Austria takes Venetia from the Papal States because they just want to. France takes Corsica. Also, new nation, Sardinia. Actually, Sardinia Piedmont. And, so the Pope still controls territory. But, okay, now don't get me wrong, the Pope still controls territory, but, like... Oh, and also, the two Sicilies. And also now it's time for the Ottomans to reach their territorial height. Bam! 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 Bang! Pow! Boom! And yeah, that's most of that's. And there you have it, boys. The Ottomans' territorial peak. And also they annex this when they get into war with Russia. But yeah, Russia, but then Russia wallops them. But Russia wallops them right back. So they lose a bit of territory. Poland, Lithuania, which is essentially now a puppet of Russia, essentially takes a bit of territory too. So yeah, their influence over the Balkans is collapsing. And also, guess who's back? Bulgaria's back. And guess who else is back? Greece is. And also Greece controls Cyprus, because why not? That's more of an 1800s thing. But now it's time for the North American War. So the Brits have landed in India. They've taken a good chunk of it. France also controls a bit of it. So the Mughals overthrow the Maratha. No, the Maratha takes over the Mughals, and yeah. They're able to fight the British quite effectively, which slows them down. And eventually, the North American War begins. And yes, it's called the North American War because literally it only happens in North America. So Spain really wants Louisiana so they have more dominance over the Gulf. So they ask France, and France obviously says no. So they invade it, which starts a war. Spain, with their massive colonial empire, is able to win in the meantime. Is able to fight quite effective. Is able to fight well. Britain sees this as an opportunity. Sees this as an opportunity to take more of the Ohio River of the coveted Ohio River Valley, and also Canada for themselves. So they do just that. And just like that, the French have been kicked out of North America. But Russia wants more of the pie. And also they want to fight. Spain's influence over the continent. And so they invade Oregon, which goes okay. Yeah, I had to let loose there. Oh no. Well, let's hope nobody sees that point in the video. And also, like, the Dutch kick out the Austrians, then they take this. And yeah. So France assures Portugal if they join the war, they can gain a bunch of territory. So Portugal joins the war and invades Spanish South America, which is quite overextended at this point. So like ultimately, yeah, the Portuguese kind of win. And by kind of, I mean kind of, because they suffer heavy casualties. And also the Spanish are pushing the Russians back. So Russia surrenders and signs a peace treaty, which, I mean, like, Spain gets even more land. But ultimately, yeah, their colonies are way too overextended. So their traditional ally, Britain, actually uses this as an opportunity to seize more territory. And they do just that. Well, actually, no, they don't take all of that. The French also use this as an opportunity to take that. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. that one. That's right. It's time for the American It's time for no, wrong accent. It's time for the American Revolution. So, the 13 colonies declare independence from Britain. And also a bit of Canada, too, because why not? Spain enters the war to retake some territory. And France enters the war because, well, why not? And also, they kind of want Quebec back, even though that doesn't actually work. The Americans invade British Florida. Gosh, that sounds so weird to say. And they cede Louisiana to the British. So ultimately, yeah, the French get Louisiana back. And there you go. That's the murky revolution. Over and done. It was over as quick as it began, really. Also, France had a revolution where they overthrew the government, and a partition happened, and yeah, like another partition happened. And yeah, Prussia controls all of Poland now. And you know what time it is? Okay, well, yeah, you probably do. Anyways, yeah, French Revolution, it's time to conquer all of Europe. So yeah, like, all of this happens. So Napoleon tries to invade Russia. And then it fails horribly. Like, mainly because of the British, which, despite losing the American Revolution, are still doing stuff. So, Prussia unites Germany, and yeah. So, Prussia unites Germany. Sardinia gets Sardinia gets larger. Or actually, I'm just gonna reverse everything. Okay, I'm just gonna reverse everything to before the war began. So yeah, this is how it looked like before the war began. So yeah, Europe is just reverted to that. And now, well, I mean, the British are getting a bit. Sorry, I muted my mic there. Well, now it's not the. Okay, yeah. So yeah, like so yeah, I'm actually gonna end this. I'm probably gonna end this here, but also, oh yeah, I kind of forgot. China hasn't changed since the this part of Asia hasn't changed since the 1500s. I gotta update it. So yeah, the Ming is overthrown and replaced with the Qing, which you've probably heard of. So, it's... And the Qing has finally come. So the Qing has united all of China. And then they really start losing. So after taking Tibet from India in another war with in a war with the Maratha, they actually lose Tibet. And the Russians take Central Asia. And take a bit of China, and take a bit of stuff from the Chinese, aka the Qing. So the Meiji Restoration occurs. The emperor is finally the emperor again, and so in a war with China. They annex this area. But at least the Qing colonize Borneo. Well, I mean, they get like one colony on the island. Until the Dutch said nay and took it over. So, the French have been, well, so the U.S. just took over French Louisiana, and in the War of 1812, the U.S. took Canada, and in a war with Scandinavia, they took back this area. Or they just took this area. So, oh yeah, my screen's been hidden. So I made a couple changes. So yeah, that's the Qing. They lost a bunch of territory, and they have a colony in Indonesia. Indonesia is owned by the Dutch, and the Americans have. Oh, hold on. I got the perfect music for this. Hold on. hold on. Now I'm gonna change the color too. So yeah, the U.S. buys Louisiana. Oh, have you missed the entire? Here's the Napoleonic Wars. If you haven't seen that already. So yeah. In a series of wars with the colonial powers, America is now like the dominant force on the continent. I don't know why this is British. So yeah, America just forces Scandinavia to give up all that air. Give up all of that. And also America gets this. And this. Or wait, no, not yet. They don't get that yet. Anyways, so the U.S. supports rebels in Mexico, just to screw over the colonial powers. So, Mexico is now independent. And then America gets in, and then America uses their weakness. So Mexico's quite weak. So America uses this as to their advantage to yoink all of Oregon and like California and Texas. And also the Americans control the Bahamas now. And then they also yoinked all this stuff and this and also the Yucatan. And a bit of this. Well, actually not yet. Also the US the US has made a lot of enemies. Like, a lot of enemies. So the U.S. is now in a civil war between the Union and the Confederacy. You get the point. You get the point. Let's see the results. Also, so the Confederacy, so the war is actually kind of intricate, but also Maryland and Delaware secede as well. But yeah, I mean, the capital's safe. So, America takes that. Anyways, okay. Let's just see the results. So, the American Navy is, like, really OP in this war. So they use it to split the Confederacy in two. They also take California, and essentially this entire area just falls. Well, actually, it's not so simple. It actually holds out quite well. And also, like, most nations are supplying the Confederacy. Especially the British, because they're missing their... because they're also, like, industrializing and stuff. So the Ottomans are beginning to shrink, and this is when they become known as the sick man of Europe. But, okay, yeah, the US wins. Do I really have to explain it to you? No. So yeah, let's just skip everything. Anyways, I'm gonna stop the music because I just want to. Well, yeah. So, Britain takes South Africa, or at least a lot of it, because Boer time. I actually don't know what color I'm gonna represent the Boers with. Probably like similar to this. But yeah, that's so. Hold on. So yeah, like, it's the bow. So yeah, I don't really know how to describe this, but yeah, like, yeah, they eventually the British win after an absolutely brutal conflict that caused an unknown number, that caused hundreds of thousands of people to die. So South Africa becomes a dominion. But that was in 1910. So anyways, let's get back to the rest of... Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is what happened. So South Africa's a dominion now. Anyways, let's get back to the rest of Europe. So, right here. So the Austro-Prussian War happens, and... Okay, the Prussia reunites Germany. Yeah, reunites because it's already been united. And also, oh yeah, I mean... So France tries to stop them. And it was looking like the French... It was looking like the French were gonna win. But no. The Prussians win. Anyways. Reunification of Italy time. So, yeah, that's... Why did I actually get that border really good? Anyways, also now it's time. Now it's time for all the ethnic minorities in Europe to get independence. So there you go. That's it. India takes this, and well, why not? I guess. So India actually kicks out the British for the first time ever. So, America takes this and this, like, they've taken, like, most of the world. I mean, North America. Anyways, I just gotta add Central America, and we're good. Anyways, let's get back to Europe. Well, first we gotta get back to Africa. That happens. Oh yeah, Belgium doesn't exist in this timeline. Weird. Okay, just kidding. Maybe not just kidding, but yeah, Belgium exists, possibly. Well, yeah, Belgium exists, just because actually, no. Let's say Belgium doesn't exist. Because, like, why not? So Germany purchased a bit of Africa, and also Madagascar, and also a bit of this. So the Ottomans are in the scramble for Africa too. So Italy also. So Italy takes Tunisia, which the French don't like, so they start a war over it. This would be the beginning of World War I, as Austria and Germany jump to the aid of the Italians. As the British and Russians aid the French. So ultimately, Germany establishes a client state in Poland. This motherfucker. They also established one in Ukraine. And one in the Baltics. And yeah. So Germany annexes Belgium. Italy gets a bit of this, and a little bit of this, and a bit of that. Nah, actually more. Even Spain briefly joins the war, so they take a bit of this, and yeah. So France is looking kind of small. Keep in mind this is the 1890s. And also, the US is in the scramble for Africa. Yeah, they make Liberia. I also colonize this area. So yeah, the US is a bit more imperialist in this timeline. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about this area. So we're going to remember it now. Brazil is independent, and yeah, like so is Argentina. And also that half of the Falklands. And, oh yeah, why is Prius... I kind of forgot to stop Prius's Gloria, so... I gotta, any song that fits well, Grand Columbia. Oh, yeah. So that's Grand Columbia. And yeah, that's South America right there. I also split the rest of the colonies. So the Dutch in Indonesia annex most of annex a good chunk of Central Africa. Spain gets this. Britain gets a little bit in this area. France also. So France gets all of this, and oddly, Russia gets a colony in Africa too. Also, so Britain tries to colonize. So Britain colonizes. So Britain colonizes Western Australia and New Zealand. Whilst Germany that's the rest. Starting a very tense staring contest. France falls under a nationalistic regime and begins the Second World War. And then they start losing because, like, I don't know, America gets involved. So the Russo-Japanese War never occurs in this timeline. So Russia, who is aligned with France, is invaded by Japan, who is not. Wait, actually, that's too much. But yeah. Peace treaty. Anyways, time for a peace treaty. So Germany annexes Russia's colonies. America gets a little bit. yeah. That's it. Belarus is set free. Kind of. Maybe. Probably not. And now, the Arabian Peninsula is reunified. Under so I was like, keep in mind, that was the 1920s right there. The Qing dynasty it's been able to hold itself together. With a military coup. So yeah, Yuan Shikai became the de facto dictator of China. So Japan took a bit of stuff. And the Dutch have pushed the Qing out of there, and yeah, so. So, the Sun Yat-sen faction has turned China into a republic, or like some kind of democracy. And the same thing happens in India. And Germany and the Netherlands decide to unite, and South Africa is annexed because why not? Austria-Hungary joins the Union, and this general area is, yeah, so. As the Ottomans are collapsing, Italy takes the Ottoman-controlled Libya. So So yeah, this is Africa in like the 40s. Oh yeah, I hid the thing. Oh yeah, so yeah, World War II happened. Uh, get this. This is where we're at now. Republican coup in China. Um, and also, Italy becomes a republic. And finally, Germany does too. And America returns the Yucatan to Mexico. America gives some territory back to Mexico. Alaska becomes independent. Ish. Canada becomes independent. And that so the U.S. grants independence to that colony and this colony. So yeah, America's fragmentation era is complete. The U.S. the United States of America is now more of a loose union. So the U.S. is now more of a loose union of regions. Or now a loose confederation of regions. So basically, all this is the U.S. now. So, to be continued, I suppose.